Joining me now, as promised, is Maryland Governor Wes Moore. Governor Moore, it is great to see you. I have about a million things to ask you about, but thank you so much for being here with me tonight.
It's such a joy to be with you. Thanks, Jen.
Well, let me just start. I mean, today I tried to give an overview of what we're looking at in the nation's capital, how it could impact other cities. Today, the Washington Post reported that the Trump administration is considering creating what they are calling a reaction force, it's quite a name, of hundreds of National Guard troops that they could deploy into any American city within hours. I think people are familiar with your bio, but just to remind people, you're a veteran of the Army and the Army Reserve. You're also commander-in-chief of the state's National Guard, of course, as governor. What do you make of the National Guard being deployed, not just to Washington, D.C., but potentially to other American cities like this?
Yeah, I'm proud to be the 63rd governor of the state of Maryland, but I'm humbled to be the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard. And it's something that I do take very seriously as someone who has led soldiers in combat. I understand the gravity of what it means when you're asking these men and women to put themselves in harm's way, when you're asking their families to trust the decisions that are being made by those in charge, that the mission is both going to be mission critical and also mission aligned. And so I want to be very crystal clear to anyone who is listening. I will not authorize the usage of the Maryland National Guard for any mission that I do not deem to be mission critical or mission aligned. If there wants to be a real conversation about how to have public safety inside of our cities, just take a look at what we've been doing here in the state of Maryland over the past 2.5 years. Because the year before I became the governor, that Baltimore City averaged almost a homicide a day. Now, in 2.5 years, the last time the violent crime rate was this low in Baltimore City, I was not born yet. So if there wants to be a serious conversation about the work that we did collectively together with the mayor, with our county executives, with local law enforcement, with the U.S. attorney and the state's attorney, to be able to, with our community groups, to be able to drive down violent crime, then we should have that conversation. But let me not bury the lead. We were able to do that without having to deploy the National Guard in order to make that happen.
I want to ask you about that because there are some actual things that can be done. I mentioned a number of the programs that have been cut federally. Not that any one is a silver bullet. A lot of this is controlled by local leaders. But you say you wouldn't allow it or you wouldn't authorize it. If he singled out Baltimore, he singled out Baltimore yesterday by name, so who knows? If he tried to send the National Guard to Baltimore, how do you stop it? I mean, we've seen this happen in L.A. How do you stop it?
Well, the president has made an effort to single me out and single Baltimore out on multiple occasions. And I am very clear that I will work with anyone, but I will bow down to no one. And I understand where my constitutional authority begins, and I understand where my constitutional authority allows me to do. And as the commander-in-chief of the Maryland National Guard, I have the sole responsibility and the sole honor of being able to determine how, when, and why the Maryland National Guard is utilized. And it's something that I've done since I've been the governor. When we have had natural disasters, when we've watched historic floods in Western Maryland, where we had our National Guard on standby, when we've had members of the Maryland National Guard who are currently deployed overseas. I understand the gravity of the decision that goes into when, where, and how you utilize members of the National Guard. And so if I receive a request or instructions to be able to utilize the brave men and women, the citizen soldiers of our state, the ones who are raising their hands to take on this additional job of being able to support our state in our time of need, if it is not mission critical, if it is not mission aligned, I will not authorize it and it will not happen.
Trump also name-checked. He name-checked Baltimore. He name-checked a number of other cities, Chicago, Oakland, Los Angeles, New York City. I just mentioned this. I mean, one of the things, there are a lot those cities have in common. They're led by Democratic mayors. They also have black mayors. I called this out, but what do you make of that?
I think there's another thing that goes in common is that these are places that the president has not spent time walking the streets.
That's
like I
true.
have. The president has not walked the streets of Baltimore like I have, like I do on a regular basis. The president does not know Baltimoreans like I do. The president does not know the progress that we have made in Baltimore City like I do. He just continues to use it as a trope. He continues to use it as a baiting technique, and he continues to use it as a distraction technique. So instead of talking about the historic progress that we have made in Baltimore to reduce violent crime, instead of talking about the work we're doing right now to make sure that every family has the right to feel safe in their communities and in their own neighborhoods, what he's doing is he's distracting us from talking about the real policies that are having real impacts on the people of Baltimore. Policies like pulling people off of health care. Policies like making sure that our children are not getting the supports and the food assistance that they need. Policies like making sure that you are making historic firings of federal workers, many of whom are Baltimoreans, and now working to try to drive the unemployment rate up. So we are not going to allow these chicken hawks to be able to make policies that continue to try to use our military, the people who are wearing the same uniform that I was very proud to wear, using them as pawns, as distractions for the fact that the policy positions that he's putting in place are not working and are actually hurting real people.
I agree with you. It's a distraction. It's more than that, which I think you would agree too. I mean, one of the things, it's definitely stunning to see. I mean, I live in the D.C. area. I work in Washington, D.C., obviously. You see FBI agents, DEA agents, the National Guard patrolling the streets of D.C. right now. That's true in L.A. He wants to do it in other places. It is somewhat, I guess, less shocking because we just saw a similar sight in Los Angeles. You are someone, as I mentioned, you are a veteran yourself. You know what it is like to wear a military uniform. I mean, do you have any concern, or how concerned are you that Trump is trying to normalize the presence of the military on American streets, make it seem like a normal thing to people living in our cities?
It's deeply disturbing and it's deeply troubling. And also, it means that there is not an understanding of the way constitutional policing works. You know, the way policing actually works is making sure that you can have a police force that moves with appropriate intensity and absolute integrity and full accountability and works in partnership with the people, with the communities, that they are building relationships with people in communities. Frankly, that's not what military personnel are trained for. That is not the training that we receive when we go through our basic training and when we go through our individual technique trainings, that you're now conflating something that frankly does not need to be, and it's actually deeply dangerous to try to conflate those two things. And there are two really important things for people to remember about every time you mobilize the National Guard. One, it's expensive. And this is a deeply expensive game that the president is using, where he's using taxpayer dollars, millions of them, to try to put on this demonstration of force that frankly just makes him look weak. And the second thing is, these are men and women who are citizen soldiers. These are people who have other jobs. These are people who are helping to support their families. These are people who are just simply asking for the leadership in charge to understand that and take that seriously. And so it is deeply offensive for so many of us who have worn the uniform to see someone who was never chosen to wear the uniform. In fact, when he had the opportunity, he talked about bone spurs, to then give us the orders as to how we can be utilized when it's just simply being used as an expensive deployment of personal political ego. That is unnecessary and is something that is deeply frustrating.
So I started the show talking a bit about how violent crime still exists in D.C. It still exists in Baltimore. It still exists in cities across the country. But it is down. It's at a 30-year low, in D.C. Baltimore is the safest it's been in 50 years. If Trump wanted to actually make cities safer, if he was funding programs that would actually help support cities, instead of just doing this performative National Guard, $123 million funding that he did in L.A., what would he do? What should he do?
He should do what we've been doing here in the state of Maryland for the past 2.5 years. When we first came on board, I said I refuse to be a governor that just gives eulogies and offers thoughts and prayers. That we were actually going to work together to be able to address this issue. And we made historic investments in local law enforcement. We invested over $50 million in the Baltimore City local law enforcement alone, that we were able to make sure we had a police force that was actually supported, that we're able to make sure we're investing in technologies and predictive analytics and both stopping crimes before it happens and also making sure that if someone commits a violent crime, particularly with a firearm, I want them in handcuffs in 24 hours. And we're able to work with our local jurisdictions, working with Mayor Scott, working with our county executives, working with our community groups and our violence intervention and violence interruption groups, because so much of the violence that we were seeing was retaliatory by nature. So you could actually stop that before the violence continued to escalate. That Maryland became one of the only states that actually helps to fund the U.S. attorney out of balance sheet. And so we're able to take a lot of these gun crimes and turn them into federal crimes. That we funded our state's attorneys and making sure we can increase the prosecution rates and increase the closure rates on violent crimes. And that has been the things that have helped to lead to the type of historic results where now Maryland is seeing amongst the fastest drops in violent crime amongst any state in the entire country. And we know we have more work to do. I will never be satisfied if there's one person who does not feel safe in their neighborhoods and their communities. But I can tell you right now, the way we do it is by partnership. The way you do it is by putting the authority back in and working with our local jurisdictions. And it's just ironic to me that it's Donald Trump and the Republican Party, the party of get big government out of our way, that are now the ones deciding to put millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars into doing something that is performative at best.